Chapter 4 Turkish Delight. "But what are you?" said the Queen again. "Are you a great overgrown dwarf that's not cut its beard?" "No, your Majesty," said Edmund. I've never had a beard. I'm just a boy." "A boy?" she said. "Do you mean that you were the son of Adam?" Edmund stood still, saying nothing. He was confused by this time and didn't understand what the question meant. "I see that you are not very smart, whatever else you may be," said the Queen. "Answer me once and for all. I'm about to lose my patience. Are you human?" "Yes, your Majesty," said Edmund. "And how, pray, did you come to enter my dominions?" "Please, your Majesty, I came through the wardrobe." "A wardrobe? What do you mean?" I just opened a door and found myself here, your Majesty," said Edmund. "Ha!" said the Queen, speaking more to herself than to him. "A door? A door from the world of men. I've not heard of such thing. This may wreck all. But he is the only one, and he's easily dealt with." And she spoke these words, and she rose from her seat and looked at Edmund full in the face. Her eyes were flaming. At the same moment she raised her wand. Edmund felt sure that she was going to do something dreadful, but he seemed unable to move. Then, just as he gave himself up for lost, she appeared to change her mind. "My poor child," she said in a quite different voice, "how cold you look! Come and sit with me here on the sledge, and I'll put my mantle around you, and we will talk." Edmund did not like this arrangement at all, but he dared not disobey. He stepped onto the sledge and sat at her feet, and she put a fold of her fur mantle around his neck and tucked it in. "Perhaps, would you like something hot to drink?" said the Queen. "Should you like that?" "Yes, please, your Majesty," said Edmund, whose teeth were chattering. The Queen took from somewhere among her wrappings a very small bottle which looked as if it were made from copper. Then, holding out her arm, she let one drop fall from it into the snow beside the sledge. Edmund saw the drop for a second in mid-air, shining like a diamond. But the moment it touched the snow, there was a hissing sound, and there stood a jeweled cup full of something that steamed. The dwarf immediately took this and handed it to Edmund with a bow and a smile. Not a very nice smile, though. Edmund felt much better as he began to sip the hot drink. It was something he'd never tasted before, very sweet and foamy and creamy, but it warmed him right down to his toes. "Is it dull, son of Adam, to drink without eating?" said the Queen presently. "What would you like to eat?" Turkish Delight, please, your Majesty," said Edmund. The Queen let another drop fall from her bottle and onto the snow, and instantly there appeared a round box tied with green silk ribbon, which was open, turned out to contain several pounds of the best Turkish delight. Each piece was sweet and light to the very center, and Edmund had never tasted anything more delicious. He was quite warm now and very comfortable. While he was eating, the Queen kept asking him questions. At first, Edmund tried to remember that it's rude to speak with one's mouth full, but soon he forgot about this and thought only of trying to shove down as much Turkish delight as he could. The more he ate, the more he wanted to eat, and he never asked himself why the Queen was so inquisitive. She got him to tell that he had one brother and two sisters, and that one of his sisters had already been in Narnia and met a fawn here, and that no one except himself and his brothers and sisters knew anything about Narnia. She seemed especially interested in the fact that there were 4 of them, and kept on coming back to it. "You are sure there are just 4 of you?" she asked. "2 sons of Adam and 2 daughters of Eve, neither more nor less?" And Edmund, with his mouth full of Turkish delight, kept on saying, "Yes, I told you that before," and forgetting to call her your Majesty. But she didn't seem to mind much now. At last the Turkish delight was all finished, and Edmund was looking very hard at the empty box and wishing he would ask whether he would like some more. Probably the Queen knew quite well what he was thinking, for she even knew that Edmund did not. Let me go back. Probably the Queen knew quite well what he was thinking, for she knew, though Edmund did not, that this was one enchanted Turkish delight that anyone who once had tasted would want more of it, and would even, if they were allowed, go on eating it until they killed themselves. But she did not offer him any more. Instead, she said to him, Son of Adam, I should so much like to see your brother and your 2 sisters. Will you bring them to me?" "I'll try," said Edmund, still looking at the empty box. because if you did come again, bringing the two of them with you, of course, I would be able to give you more Turkish delight. I can't do it now. The magic will only work once. In my own house, it would be the matter." "Why can't we go to your house now?" said Edmund. When he had first got under the sledge, he had been afraid that she might drive away with him to some unknown place which she would not be able to get back, but he had already forgotten about that fear now. "It's a lovely place, my house," said the Queen. "I'm sure you would like it. There are rooms full of Turkish delight, and what's more, I have no children of my own. I want a nice boy whom I could bring up as prince, and who would be king of Narnia when I'm gone. While he was prince, he would wear a gold crown and eat Turkish delight all day long, and you are much the cleverest and handsomest young man I've ever met. I think I would like to make you the prince some day, when you bring the others to visit me." "Why not now?" said Edmund, as his face began to get red, and his mouth and his fingers were sticky. He didn't look either clever or handsome, whatever the Queen might say. "Oh, but if I took you there now," she said, "I shouldn't see your brother and your sisters. I very much want to know your charming relations. You are to be the prince later on, the king, that is understood. But you must be courteous, and you must have family and nobles. I will make your brother a duke and your sister a duchess. There's nothing of special about them," said Edmund, "and anyways, I could always bring them another time." "Ah, but once you're in my house," said the Queen, "you might forget about them. You would be enjoying yourself so much that you wouldn't want to go back to bother and fetch them. No, you must go back to your country now, and come to me another day with them. You understand? It's not good coming without them." "But I don't even know the way back to my country," pleaded Edmund. "That's easy," answered the Queen. "Do you see that lamp?" She pointed with her wand. Edmund turned and saw the same lamp post that Lucy had met the fawn. "Straight on, beyond that, is the way to the world of men. And now look the other way." And she pointed to the opposite direction. "Tell me if you can see the two hills rising above the trees." "I think I can," said Edmund. "Well, my house is between those two hills, so the next time you come, you only have to find the lamppost and look for those two hills and walk through the woods until you reach my house. But remember, you must bring the others with you. I might have to be very angry with you if you come alone." "I'll do my best," said Edmund. "And by the way," said the Queen, "you needn't not tell them about me. It would be fun to keep this a secret between the two of us, wouldn't it? Make it a surprise for them. Just bring them along over the two hills. A clever boy like you will easily think of some excuse for doing that, and when you come to my house you can just say, 'Let's see who lives here,' or something like that. I'm sure that would be best. If your sister has met one of the fawns, she may have heard strange stories about me, nasty stories, that may have made her afraid to come to me. Fawns will say anything, you know. Now, please," said Edmund suddenly, "can I just please have one more piece of that Turkish delight, just to eat on the way home?" "No," said the Queen with a laugh. "You must wait until next time." While she spoke, she signaled to the dwarf to drive on, but as the sledge swept away out of sight, the Queen waved to Edmund, calling out, next time, don't forget, come soon." Edmund was still staring after the sledge when he heard someone calling his name. Looking around, he saw Lucy coming towards him from another part of the woods. "Oh, Edmund," she cried, "you got in too. Isn't it wonderful? And now—" "All right," said Edmund. "I see that you were right, and it is a magical wardrobe after all. I'll say I'm sorry if you like— Where on earth have you been all this time? I've been looking for you everywhere." "If I'd known that you got in too, I would have waited for you," said Lucy, who was happy and excited to notice how snappishly Edmund spoke and how flushed and strange his face was. "I've been having lunch with dear Mr. Tumnus, the fawn. He's very well, and the White Witch has done nothing to him for letting me go. So he thinks that she could have found out, or perhaps everything is going to be all right after all." "The White Witch," said Edmund. "Who's she?" "She's a perfectly terrible person," said Lucy. "She calls herself the Queen of Narnia, though she has no right to be the queen at all. And all the fauns and dryadids and naiads and dwarfs and animals, at least the good ones, they all hate her. And she can turn people into stone and do all kinds of horrible things, and she has made a magic so that it's always winter in Narnia, always winter, but it never goes to Christmas. And she drives about on a sledge drawn by a reindeer, and her wand in her hand and her crown on her head." Edmund was feeling uncomfortable from having eaten too many sweets, and when he heard that the lady that he had made friends with could be dangerous, which he felt even more comfortable. But he still wanted to taste the Turkish delight once again more than anything else. "Who told you all that stuff about the White Witch?" he asked. "Mr. Tumnus the fawn," said Lucy. "You can't always believe what fawns said," said Edmund, trying to sound as if he knew more than Lucy. "Who said so?" asked Lucy. Everyone knows it, said Edmund. And anybody like you, but it's pretty poor sport standing here in the snow. I'm ready to go home. Yes, let's, said Lucy. Oh, Edmund, I am glad that you got in too. The others will have to believe now. Believe in Narnia, and the both of us have been there. What fun it will be. But Edmund secretly thought that it would not be as good as fun as it is for her. He would have to admit to Lucy that he had been right before all the others, and he felt that the others would be on the other side of the fawns and the animals' side, and he was already more than half on the witches' side. He did not know what he would say or how he would keep this secret that they were talking about Narnia. But this time he walked in a good way. Then suddenly they felt coats around them instead of branches, and next moment they were standing outside of the wardrobe in an empty room. I say, said Lucy, you look awful, Edmund. Do you feel all right? I'm all right, said Edmund, but this was not true. He was feeling very sick. Come on then, said Lucy. Let's find the others. What a lot we have to tell them, and what wonderful adventures we have to share now that we're all together.